Laura, the sound of his guitar went from being this sexy thing that I was drawn to like, it made me angry. It made me angry if I heard the music in our home. I just saw him as a big child and someone that I had to take care of. I know that's like such a common thing that we hear on this podcast, and I felt that too. How could I possibly stay and raise a child with someone who could speak to me like that? I just was I was so hurt. I have like what I call now, like I had a blame blanket on that was keeping me really warm. Like it was a protective mechanism to have blamed him for everything. And taking it off was very scary.
Warning, listening to this podcast is going to make your marriage irresistible. Whether you're exhausted from carrying everything and just want him to step up and be a real partner, or you're lonely and aching to feel close and adored again, it's totally fixable. I'm Laura Doyle, creator of the 6 Intimacy Skills, and for 25 years, I've been watching women go from burnt out and disconnected to having the passionate, easy marriage they always wanted. Love is learnable. The secrets are real, and this is where I teach them. Stay with us to the end for your Try It Tonight takeaway. Kayla, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. I'm so excited
Thank you,
to have
Laura. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Cool. Well, take us back to the beginning. What was it that attracted you to your husband? How did you know he was the one?
Sure. Well, we actually met as flatmates. So we moved in together. We were in together. I was living with a friend. He said, "Oh, we're going to go and I need to sell my house. We're going to go and stay in this other house for 8 weeks while this man was in Europe. So we're just going to go and stay there for 8 weeks while I get my house ready for sale, blah, blah, blah." And he said, so it'll just be you and I, and he's got an Irish flatmate. And I was like, "Oh, is he hot?" Like, newly single woman, very natural question. Irish, like that sounds hot. Like, is he hot? And my friend assured me, well, they were arguing. One said, "Oh, he's super hot," and the other one was like, "Eh." So I was like, okay. So anyway, I move into this house and I'm eagerly anticipating the arrival of this potentially hot Irish flatmate. And we must have moved in on a Friday. He didn't show all weekend. I had no idea where he was. He just wasn't home. He must have been away for the weekend. So I was just like getting quite excited, quite intrigued. Like, when's this man coming home, And I remember Sunday night, we were waiting up. We were kind of waiting up. We were chit-chatting, but we were so curious. Like, well, I especially, it was like, who is this man? Like, is he going to come up? And it was getting late and we're thinking, oh, we'll wait a bit longer. And in he walks and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to bed. Bye." And I was like, oh my God, what an anticlimax, But I thought, oh, he's all right. He's good looking. So that was a first impression. But straight away, his room and my room were across the hall and we shared a bathroom. And so it was a very, I don't know, intense introduction. I didn't know at the time, but looking back, it's kind of funny to think that I never really moved out from that point. But yes, he was tall, dark hair, dark eyes. He really threw me. The stereotype I had for an Irishman was fat and pasty and drank a lot of alcohol. He was tall and very, very fit and dark hair, dark eyes, and didn't drink alcohol. In fact, he meditated and he studied philosophy and he was very into the gym and he was smart. And I was very, very intrigued. And he was very, very aloof and he absolutely got me very curious, and I kind of made it my mission. Like, I'm going to crack this guy open. Like, he was so mysterious. I was like, I have to figure this guy out. And I don't really remember the first week. It was a blur, but I can tell you it was only a week in that we had our moment where we were both sitting on my bed talking. We used to just talk. And we were sitting there chatting, and I remember Bonobo was playing. I don't think I've listened to him since, but anyway, I know the Bonobo was playing, and the laptop was playing the music. It was on the floor, and he leant over me, Laura, to just turn it up or change the song, and I was like, oh my God, the heat of his body and just the touch. I was like, it was just. I don't even know how to describe it. It was electric. I was like, wow, okay, I'm only been here a week and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a bad flatmate. And so I can't remember what happened that night, but needless to say, things moved very quickly in that department. It was just It was fireworks, Laura. It was so exciting. And it kind of became this thing that if the door was ajar, um, then I was open for chit chats. And if the door was shut, which mine was never shut, by the way, but his was shut. Sometimes the door would be shut, and I'd come downstairs, and the door would be shut, and I just remember feeling kind of disappointed and confused, like, how, just this constant thinking, like, how do I crack this guy open, And anywho, what happened? Like, he worked late. I just remember the sound of his bike. He used to come home after 10 p.m. and I was just making myself a very available flatmate. Like, I would stay up late. I knew he walked in the door about 10 past 10. I'd hear the bike key go into the shed. So I'd be awake. I'd happen to be studying, or I'd happen to be watching something on TV, or I'd happen to be going upstairs to get a glass of water. I just wanted to be there in case he wanted to engage. And sometimes he did, and then sometimes he wouldn't. And it was such a mess of it really was, it was funny. It was a funny time. But anyway, over the weeks and months, I just thought he was, I don't know, there was something about him. I remember a text I'd written, like, I've met this guy. He's Irish. He's hot. He's smart. He's fit. He's just everything. And he played guitar. And one day I came home and he was outside shirtless on the balcony playing guitar. And I was like, oh, I think, yeah, it was nice. Anyway, I went to Ireland. I met his family. We had a trip to Italy. It was all wonderful. We went back to New Zealand. We moved in together. We left that house. So we'd been living together the whole time. And the place we moved into was it was this old place, but it was full of sun. And my memories of those early days are just like sun-soaked mornings. Like, we would go for a morning swim. We could see the ocean from our house. He would make the coffee, and we had this old yellow table and chairs, like the cast iron ones with the flowery pattern. And we'd sit there and drink coffee, and then one of us would be sweaty from a run or something. And I just remember lying on the balcony next to the yellow table, like head on his chest, and he would read me Oscar Wilde from this big book. And I just remember wow, this is so nice. I found an Irishman with a sexy accent who wants to read to me, and we've just been outside all morning, and it was all I wanted. Like, it was just a magical start. Yeah, he was a hot
rom-com. This is your life was a romantic comedy, it sounds like. I can fully picture, he's shirtless on the balcony playing guitar, and I can picture, the sun-drenched yellow table and chairs. Yeah, and you laying there hearing Oscar Wilde read to you in a sexy Irish accent. It sounds dreamy.
It was dreamy. It was so dreamy. And those days in Kotiri Street was the name of the street. It was beautiful. And then one time I was going on a retreat, which is where you go for 10 days of silence. It's very intense. They even take the labels off your shampoo so that you can't read anything. There's no input. You don't make eye contact with anybody. You're just meditating basically for 10 days. And we had an argument before I went into that, of course. And I don't even remember what it was about. It wasn't a particularly big argument. Well, it must have been big enough because I was in that 10 days and I was like, what am I doing? I'd been living with him now for a couple of years. And we just had this fight, and then I was just obviously in my head for 10 days. And I was in, and then I was out, and I was going to marry him. And then I was like, no, I'm going to break up with him. I was really going back and forth. And I had all this beautiful sun, but then I had but I don't know, I'm at that age where I really should make a decision. And I just remember those 10 days thinking, when I get out of this, if I go home, and I knew he'd be at work, if I go home and there are flowers on the table with a note saying, I'm sorry we argued, I hope you had a great time, I'm going to marry him. And if there's not, I'm going to leave because I'm getting too old to stay in this. It wasn't a breaking point. We were in a good place, but we'd had that argument, and I think it was just my age. It was I need to decide now if this guy's the one. It's feeling so good, but I need to know. And all that time in my head, anyway, I got home. Oh, before I got home, Laura, I was in the shower at this retreat, and I thought, I think there's two of me. I think I'm pregnant. I think there's a baby. So then I was really scared to go home. I was like, is there going to be flowers on this table? And am I going to have my happily ever after or not? And I got home and there was flowers on the table and there was a gorgeous note. And I thought, my fairy tale is just beginning. Like, this is amazing. And he came home from work and he opened the door and he didn't say hello. He said, "You're pregnant, aren't you?" And I said, "I am." And it was just amazing. I was like, he did the flowers. There's the note. I'm pregnant. I'm going to marry him. I just knew. I was like, I'm done now. I just knew I've found my person. Mm.
Oh, what a great story. How did he know you were pregnant? Like,
I don't know. It just
okay.
seemed like spicy on that level from the start, like that real primal attraction to each other and this knowing, just this knowing.
Wow.
Mm.
Great. Great how we met and fell in love story, Kayla. I love it. So it's juicy. It's delicious. So, all right. So there's a little bit of conflict happening. Like, everyone has fights,
Yeah.
but everything's going pretty good. And then so you decide to get married.
No,
And
instead of a baby.
yeah,
We didn't
well,
decide to get
you
married.
didn't decide. I mean, yeah, the baby was coming.
I decided I would, but he hadn't proposed or anything. We weren't engaged at this stage.
Oh, yeah,
No.
that's right. Okay, so you just
Yeah.
okay. All right. So what happens next?
Um, yeah, so then hormones of pregnancy come and I start to notice stuff. Yeah. I just remember, I think the first thing that happened, I was like I was good few weeks in, like, the kind of weeks in where you might put a post on Facebook and tell your friends and family, and he said, "Oh, I don't want you to post that because, like, I don't want my ex to see it." And I was like, "Oh, that's disappointing that, like, you still care what she thinks." Like, and I just had this kind of story starting to creep in, like, "Oh, I'm not really the priority yet." And, maybe he hasn't actually chosen me. Maybe I just fell on the doorstep. Just those beliefs started to creep in. And I guess when you're pregnant, your hormones are like really making sure you're a priority. Like you want to feel safe. And I started to not feel so safe. And I remember one day, like he was late from work, which in hindsight, it's not that big a deal, but I was distraught because he hadn't messaged me. He'd said, "I'll be home soon." And he hadn't messaged me. And then that it brought up all the times that he doesn't communicate well. And suddenly the pregnancy just seemed to amplify very normal little things that maybe we bicker about in relationships. Once I got pregnant, they became a problem. They really became a problem. I just didn't feel like he cared enough. And how hard was it to send a text to say I'm running late? Or, and I remember this day in particular, he got home. I was so upset. Like, it was disproportional. I was a wreck because I must have just made it mean so much. Like all the times that he'd been late, suddenly, as I said, were just so, so important. And I remember like sitting on the floor with my back against this wall, really crying. And he was kind of like, I don't know what's happening. And why is it so hard? Like, and he's saying, "You don't want me to ever have a beer after work." And I'm like, I don't care about the beer. Just send the message, like, why is it so hard to just send a message? And he's saying, "You never want me out now that I'm blah, blah, blah." And it got just out of hand. Like, it just escalated quickly. These little things suddenly were a problem. I remember later in the pregnancy, I thought there was reduced movement. So I was in the hospital, just getting things listened to and he didn't come. He stayed at work. And again, I was like, I'm doing this on my own. And I just felt like these kind of cracks started to show. Like he's not showing up for me and I'm not the priority. Now work was the priority. And, what do you mean? You're like, come on, like first baby, I'm scared. Like, he just didn't come. And yeah, these things started to creep in, I suppose. It just, the pregnancy and then parenting, things just started to shift. I started to feel like the manager. I started to feel like I had to lead and that he would come along like with me enough, but that he wasn't initiating. And when there were moments like that where I really wanted like a man to kind of step up, I felt like I didn't have it, you know? Um, what else happened? There was never a huge problem. It just got more and more mediocre. And for
Mm.
us, the biggest problem was bickering. Like we just were bickering all the time. We lived at the beach and we went to my family's beach house to go out for dinner. And we're it just we're getting ready for dinner. All the brothers-in-law are there, and we're all kind of helping. And I'm thinking, well, this is very normal. You know, everyone's pitching in to get the dinner ready, and I had these ideas of what we're all doing. Like, well, and I'm like, where's it? Why isn't he helping? And he was running down the road with a surfboard, like to the beach. And I'm just okay. So where are you? Like, you know, just like you said, just absent. Just I just felt like, yeah, that belief that I wasn't chosen started to become quite strong, I think. And it just started to seep in through everywhere. Like, I guess I started to feel let down, and I felt like I was this strong, you know, capable, tall, broad shouldered woman. And maybe I should have picked a taller, more broad shouldered man. I felt what I wanted to feel protected and I wanted to feel small. That sounds silly, but I wanted to feel small. I wanted to feel like you know, and all these little moments, I didn't feel it. I felt like, oh, you're just off with yourself. You're off with your surfboard, or you're off with your guitar, or you're off doing work when I'm in the hospital. Like just all these little moments, such a thing. And I guess mediocrity and distance started
Mm.
to creep in.
It
Yeah.
just it sounds painful. I mean, yeah, and I can just imagine my embarrassment, right? Like all the brother-in-laws are helping out. But mine grabbed a surfboard and is he's gone away. So
Mm,
yeah, and it's true about your hormones and wanting to feel safe when you're pregnant. And some of these issues that, like you're even saying, in retrospect, like, I don't know what the big deal was, but it felt really, you felt some abandonment that he wouldn't just send that
yeah.
text message. Yeah. So you're feeling very alone. Like
Mm,
he's not showing up for you.
yeah.
In a way that would be reassuring, comforting. So
Exactly. At a
yeah,
time I needed it. Yeah. And then
yeah.
after the baby was born, I would say I definitely had a bit of postpartum funk, and I tried to find my safety in cleaning. Like the chaos of becoming a mum, and I was used to control. And the lack of control, I vacuumed. I vacuumed all the time. And I wanted the house to be tidy so that I could feel like, I guess, just in control again. And so then that became so important to me. The more I struggled with the adjustment of becoming a mum, that his lack of tidiness or lack of prioritizing the home became a real problem for me. Like I thought, you know, that this was so important. It was so important for my mental health and my happiness that the house was really clean.
Safety of
And
your baby and everything too. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And he just, I couldn't tell you looking back now if he got worse or not. But at that time, it became a real problem for me. I just couldn't handle like that. Yeah, I was the one folding the towels. I was the one hanging them up. I was just the one doing all the dishes, doing all the little things, the vacuuming. I just can't say vacuuming enough. Every time my baby was asleep, I would vacuum. I thought I can't be happy until this house is clean. And I had this expectation that he would be on board with that, you know, that he would help me clean so that I could relax quicker. And so if he picked up the guitar, Laura, the sound of his guitar went from being this sexy thing that I was drawn to like, it made me angry. It made me angry if I heard the music in our home. And it was such a flip. But I just started to get very, very resentful
Yeah.
of the lack of help. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, I can totally see why. Yeah, the sound of his guitar is proof that he doesn't care about what you care about and he's just goofing off while you're having
Mm.
to do all the hard work of
Yeah.
vacuuming
Yeah.
the rug many times a day, apparently. So, yeah, but I get it though. I
Yeah.
do. I really do.
The yeah, and the other thing that really hurt was that, I started to lose, I think, respect for him because I started to make up the story that he was many things. Yeah, absent, not capable, just not a provider, not like just not someone who cared about my happiness. I had a lot of stories, and then what happened, which was really sad, is that respect started to seep into the bedroom, and suddenly, like we lost that spark that we'd had from the start, and that really hurt. And
That amazing chemistry. Yeah. The
yeah,
great passion that you had, it was gone.
it was
You didn't,
flat.
you weren't attracted anymore.
Yeah, it started to become like that. I just saw him as a big child and someone that I had to take care of. I know that's like such a common thing that we hear on this podcast, and I felt that too. It was just like another thing I had to take care of, another place where I was the leader. Yeah, superior. I thought he was inferior. I didn't know where he'd got his ideas from, and I diagnosed him as many things. But one of the conclusions I came to was that he was an only child, and so because he was an only child, he was very self-centered. That was my
Selfish. Yeah. No wonder he didn't vacuum
yeah,
as much as
yeah,
he should.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So, so the passion in the bedroom is gone. That's very
Mhm.
painful as well. Even
It
though,
was. Mm.
yeah,
And we had a
it's
big
normal.
fight about it. I remember one of our most awful fights to that point was in the car, and I was complaining about the foreplay, like the lack of. I was complaining. I was like accusing him of not meeting my needs and not caring enough. Again, the story of not being the priority. I wasn't a priority in the bedroom at all, and demanding like you should care about my, pleasure, and you should do this, and it's not, you don't do that for long enough. And it was such an ugly fight because he got very defensive, and I remember him just saying like, it's not my fault you're broken. Like, it's not my fault you're not having an orgasm. Like, it's not my fault you're broken. And I thought, oh, well, there
Oof.
goes the passion. There goes that, because now my mind is like, how will I ever recover from that? Right. Like, it was a painful argument. And again, like that was the thing that connected us through all the ups and downs. We always had that. And when that started to go, it started to get quite scary.
Ugh,
Yeah.
quite scary. Very scary. And
Yeah.
yeah, it is like a time bomb because now forevermore you're thinking that every
Exactly.
time there's action in the bedroom, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I might be broken, or yeah, he thinks I'm
Oh, yeah.
broken.
Yeah. Or he's thinking that. But the biggest breakdown, actually, Laura, was we were at my grandpa's sweet little beach house. We had our son was almost one, and we were cleaning up, like ready to leave. And I'm rushing around trying to do it all, like trying to clean it all. And my son is pulling on my leg, and we're in a hurry, and that's annoying, and looking around doing nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, just feeling all of that. And I just shouted at him, or basically just demanded, I was like, take him to the beach. Like, you just take him, you go to the beach, I'll finish in here. Like, I'll do this because I can't handle this, like looking at you doing nothing anymore. And he looked at me and he goes, where are the towels? And I could, Laura, I couldn't handle it. I could not handle that question. It was like a baby. Where are the towels, Mum? I could not handle it. And I swore at him. I said, they're in the effing cupboard, like they are in all houses. Like, figure it out. What's wrong with you? And he looked at me, and he just, like, I just never forget it. He just looked at me and he said, you're a C word. You are the C bomb. And I was like it was fine for me to shout at him, but when he said that, like a line was crossed, and I thought, oh my God, it's over. Like, how could I possibly stay and raise a child with someone who could speak to me like that. I was so hurt. Obviously, I loved him, and all I wanted was a family. But when he said that, I had this idea, like this knowing that I wouldn't be able to stay. Not with that.
No, it would be undignified to stay
It
in a
was
way.
like society would never accept that. Like my
No,
family would never
no.
accept that. Like,
If everyone
oh,
knew, forget it. You're putting up with verbal abuse. If you
exactly. It was
Yeah.
just that was it. But then 3 days after that, his mum died. His mum died here in Ireland. And so I had no time to think about what I was going to do. We were on the plane, me, him, and our 1-year-old, or almost one, flying to Ireland. And this was June 2020. So it was the middle of lockdown. And we landed in her home. We had a 5K radius. We had 8 months of lockdown, basically. We had our son with no family, no friends, couldn't make friends, no yoga studios open, like nothing. And this huge task of clearing out her home with nothing open, like no secondhand shops to take things to, nothing. We had to try and clear this out with a 1-year-old. It was 8 months it was absolutely
Drudgery.
devastating for our
Yeah,
relationship.
dreary. Ugh, awful.
Yeah, it was so
Awful.
hard. I couldn't even think about leaving. I was stuck. I was stuck in Ireland. What was I
That's
going to
it.
do?
Yeah,
You
well,
know,
yeah, I don't know. I don't
think I even
know. This
could have the
pandemic.
flight if I wanted. It was we were thrown into it. And the biggest thing, there's a couple of things that really stand out for me at that time. Like one was I was so unhappy and I was so sad that he didn't care. Even though he was grieving his mum, all I could think about was like, why doesn't he care how unhappy I am? And I felt so shameful. Like I had so much shame around that too, because, internally, I felt like I wanted to support him, but I was so hurt and so lonely. That was way too vulnerable. Like being the support for his grief was way too hard. And so I think if you asked him, he probably would say I was cold at that time, or I definitely was not the kind of supportive wife that I would have liked to have been. I was just so broken and so lonely and so angry. And we started to go to bed at separate times. We just started to spend time in different areas of the house. And again, the guitar got pulled out like all the time. That was his thing. It was just so lonely. And then you're mothering and trying to clear this home. It was tough. Yeah. And
There's no joy in that. Yeah, the whole situation you're describing out here, no joy and
yeah.
lots of loneliness and
Mhm.
tension, pain.
Mm. And it was his country, like it was his job to figure out how I could be happy here. Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
he knows the areas. He knows where to go. He should be showing me places, or he should care, and he should be looking after me. You know, he was a broken man, Laura, and I couldn't. We were all broken. it was it was so hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
tough.
A weekend away, a weekend to laugh, a weekend for self-care and discovery. When's the last time you did something just for you? I'm hosting Adored Wife Weekend in Anaheim, California this October 9th through the 11th. 3 days of fun and connection and the kind of nourishment that fills you back up. There's an 80s dance party, women who will feel like lifelong friends by Sunday. And, oh, by the way, your marriage will be so much better. Previous events sold out. So save $250 with early bird pricing through June 12th. Go to adoredwifeweekend.com. I'll save you a seat. So he was hurting from losing his mother, of course, but also, yeah, you're not being able to make you happy. Yeah, it's oof. So rough for
Mm.
him too. Very, very rough.
Yeah, I see that now, but I was so hardened by his comment. That C word was lingering in my mind. And it's not that I thought he didn't deserve my sympathy at that time, I didn't have capacity for it. Like one
Yeah.
minute I was thinking about leaving, and the next minute here I am I'm supposed to be this supportive partner. I wasn't a wife at the time, but I just, yeah, it was so hard. And we moved back to New Zealand. We were pregnant with our second. So, there was a little bit of action while we were in Ireland. It wasn't a complete drought, but we moved back to New Zealand and yeah, we're hanging on by a thread, I would say. And we'd had all that time. And so we hadn't had any time away together because we had no babysitters or anything, no family to leave. So we'd never had a break. And when we got back to New Zealand, I think we had one weekend where we could get away before I was going to have our second baby. And so my mum had our son, and we went to this gorgeous beach town on the other side of New Zealand called Raglan. And it's so beautiful there. And all I remember from that weekend, our first weekend together, all I remember was having a State of the Union and convincing him that we needed therapy. And by the end of the weekend, I had to convince him that we need a relationship. I don't even know what she was called. We went on a wait list. We were on the wait list for some kind of therapy. And that was the end of that weekend. Like, this opportunity to reconnect on some level. And all I could think about was like, we need to get something going. Like, we need help. Yeah.
Oh gosh, frustrating.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, so not a fun holiday, it sounds like.
No, not a fun one. And that's the last holiday before going into having a second baby. So another wave of busyness, So it was
Yeah.
like there was some highs in there, but there was a lot of lows. And overall, again, it just remained so mediocre. Like nothing was really bad enough to leave, although obviously that word was swirling around. I suppose I was always like waiting for him to do something so bad that I could leave. I was waiting for him to mess up so that I would have a reason to go.
Oh, wow. And
Um,
so were you saying at the time, like, "I'm gonna leave," or were you just you're keeping that to
I'm sure
yourself?
I, I'm sure I threatened that all the time, but it was a test to see if he would fight for us. And he was like, okay, go. He never,
Oh.
and so then I would start a new fight about why he wasn't fighting.
Yeah, 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 absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I relate to
Mm.
that so much. And so, he wasn't threatening to leave?
No,
He
never.
never threatened to leave?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I don't know why, Laura. I don't know
Okay.
why. But he didn't. He didn't. And
Oh.
luckily for me, when we moved back to New Zealand and I had our second baby, and we have this marvelous place called Play Centre where you take your baby and you get to play with your babies, your kids under school age, alongside the other mums. And there was a woman called Vonnie there, and we started talking, and I was like, Vonnie from Morinville. Like, I grew up in this tiny town next to her tiny town. We'd been friends. We'd reconnected as adults, sitting at Play Centre with our babies, and realised that we had played sport together. Like, we'd been actually friends in the past, and we'd moved away as adults. And so here we were sitting at Play Centre, and I was complaining about my situation, actually my man. And Ronnie said, I've got a book that might help you. And I was like, well, that's great. What is it? I need it. And yeah, she gave it to me. And I have to say, Laura, like the book, it is a blur. I don't remember any major aha moments. The whole book, the thing that I remember was this salmon across the face. I have something to play in this. Until that point, I had never considered that I could have been the problem. I was hanging his towels up as a flatmate because they
Yeah.
were getting stinky and damp. I I was so amazing, I moved to Ireland. I gave him two sons. I'm so wonderful. And when I read the book, I went, I I've got something to do here. I've got work to do here. But I was excited, not excited. I don't know, I was confronted, but I felt like I've got a project now. I can do something about this. I think I might do something about this.
You had
That's
some
the
hope.
biggest thing I remember from the book.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. You felt some hope, like
Yeah,
some power. You had some power.
absolutely. Yeah, I did. And I needed that. I really needed it. And yeah, what can I say? Like, uh, I think one of the things that happened when I was reading the book was we were, as I said, it was like bickering. And I'm saying, I'll speak for myself. I remember lying in bed at the end of a crappy day and rolling away, of course, and sitting there, lying there thinking, should I bring up what happened today? Should I bring that up or should I just put it under the rug? I call it the rug of resentment. Will I just put it there with the rest and start again tomorrow and hope that tomorrow we don't start the bickering? And then tomorrow would come and, 5, 10, 15 minutes bickering, bang, gone. That would be the day. But there was a moment where he left for work without saying goodbye, which I suppose wasn't that unusual. But this one day, I remember my son, he looked up at me and he was like, why did Dad leave without saying goodbye? And I thought, I have to do this now. Like, I can't just read this book and leave it on the shelf. I need to get moving with some of these ideas and concepts because I've got little eyes and little ears noticing this. They are feeling every bit of this alongside me. And so that was huge. I think that was the day I rang my first coach. Um, yeah, who was Bonnie's auntie. It was all big family affairs for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rang her and I said, I need to bring this book to life. Mm,
Wow. Very
yeah,
courageous. Amazing, Kayla. And I get it. Like it broke your heart to hear why didn't Daddy say goodbye? But
yeah,
that's a big decision point, right? You could have said, yeah, boy, what's wrong with Daddy? Right? But you didn't. You said, I think I can do something about this.
yeah. I probably would. I probably would have said that if I hadn't read the book at that time. I probably would have said, yeah, you know, I don't know, but I didn't. I had read it and I thought, okay, I can do something. And I had a session with Tess, and we talked about the C word moment in the beach house. And she was so bold, or my homework for my first session was to go home and apologize for my part in that argument. And I was like,
What?
I was thinking up to that point, it doesn't actually matter. I am exempt from everything
That's
because he
right.
said that. He said
Yeah.
that. So I'm exempt from everything. And suddenly I had a coach on my first session telling me or suggesting to me, would you like to clean up your side of the street for that moment? And I was like, okay. It was a
You were
baptism of
like,
fire.
okay. You were
Yeah.
okay with that? Didn't you
I
say to
did
her,
it. I did it. I walked back into the house and he was playing guitar and I said, I need to talk to you about something. I said, there's some things I need to apologize for. I had to set myself
"Whoa."
up so that I couldn't back out. I said, let me know when you're ready. There's some things I need to apologize for. And this was over a year or two. Like I didn't write down dates when I was thinking about the story, but it was a long time after. And I thought, I don't know if he would even remember my part in it. It was so long ago and we kind of had moved on by default, just with life. But anyway, I apologized. I said, I'm sorry for being disrespectful the way I spoke to you that day in the beach house. And he knew exactly what I was talking about. He was instantly transported to that moment and he received that apology so deeply. Um, and I had been prepped to like not expect an apology in return, to just, it was about me. I was apologizing for my part and whatever he said was going to be okay. Like I needed to just let that go. And he apologized as well. And that was like it was like a glacial melt. That was a huge relief. And I didn't even realize how much tension was still between us from that moment. And in that moment, it melted. And yeah, it was a powerful start to,
It's
to
so
coaching.
moving. It's so moving. But why in the world would you apologize for your part in that? Why would you agree to that?
Why did I agree to that? I guess Tess, my coach, had helped me see that, like, if I was going to take responsibility for my part, I needed to go. It was like straight for the jugular. It was like I need to go to the most painful moment, and I needed to own it. I needed to own my bit in it. Just to, I think it was probably locked up. For me, it was locked up and it was hidden back here somewhere. And I needed to, I didn't know I needed, but she helped me see that I needed to loosen that up a bit because that was still sitting there. And I was never going to be able to move forward with that sitting there, this huge rock. And if I could apologize for my part, it was just like getting the little chisel out, splitting it in half, and taking my part and throwing it away. Like now I only have half a rock. And I needed to do that. And then he threw his half away. And it was like, great. That rock is now gone. Let's go to session 2. Like let's keep going. And you know what's funny is I must have been a couple of sessions in and I was returning the book. We were going on a holiday, our first family holiday with the 2 kids. And I was just quickly popping up to Vonnie's house to return the book. And I dropped the book off and then I was walking back to the car and we said our goodbyes and she said, have a great trip. Yeah. See you, Von. See you soon. And I'm just walking to the car and Bonnie shouts out across the street, hey, Kayla. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, don't be a C word. Honestly, we don't use that word, but she pulled it out and I almost wet myself laughing. I was like, God, I'm on, like I'm on it now. I know what I have to do now. And it was so funny. It was so funny. And I thought, I've got the book. I've got new tools. I've melted some ice. I'm on my way. And I know how important support is. I had Vonnie in the same town and there were 2 other women who had also read the book. We started a little circle and we'd meet for a cup of tea. And on the first time we met at a bar and we were like, well, what are we going to talk about? Where do we start? And I suggested, why don't we just go around the circle once and like share something that we're grateful for? That'd be a good start. And we went around the circle and it was so amazing. We went around again and again. And all we did for the whole night was about 3 hours. We had to get asked to leave this bar. We went around and around and around talking about things we were grateful for because when someone else shares something, like my friend said, I'm grateful that he brings me a cup of tea every night. And I realized I have that too, but I've never thought about the gratitude. I've only done manners. I've never tapped into gratitude for that. So then I'd go home and I went home and experimented with, I've got a man delivering me tea. He's thinking about me. He's making me a hot tea and he's bringing it to me wherever I'm in the house. And suddenly my manners turned into gratitude. And I was saying, thank you. This is so nice having my tea delivered. And it became our thing. It was like, here comes my sexy Irishman with my tea, or he would say, can you make me a tea? And I'd be like, I don't know how to make tea. And he'd be like, ugh. And he would go in and make the tea. Like it got really playful. And that all stemmed from this group, just other women doing the work, thinking about showing up differently. And I just realized how important community was. And I think a week after that, I signed up for coach training. I was like, I'm going all in on this. I want to know all about it. I want to work on this solidly. I want to make this my project. And then I want to help others. So I just went straight from the book to coach and then a year with you and your team. Yeah. Amazing.
What a story. I'm loving this. And I'm right there with you in the pub doing your gratitude circles and like each round getting more and more like, oh, like nobody wants to leave. They have to kick you out of the pub. It's like, and this totally shifting your perspective about how good you have it with your sexy Irishman.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's inspiring. So inspiring. So, okay. So what happened? So your relationship is pretty much perfect at this point. Is that?
Oh God, no.
Fair to say?
Oh no.
Okay.
Okay. It wasn't, but I knew it would. I was starting to think that it would be, and I was excited by the things I could do. I was excited to go home and try my gratitude with the tea, and I was excited to have it received well. It was just like every time I experimented with something, and I would still get it wrong in between, but I was excited to just be in the project. I had a hypothesis delivered by the book, and I wanted to see if it would work out for me.
Do some experiment.
So there was
right?
Yeah, it was, and it's my favorite word now is experiment. It's just an experiment, and what was hard was like suddenly I had this awareness. And so I would go into my day and see all of these moments where, oh, that's got to change. Oh, that needs an apology. Oh my gosh. I was noticing things like saying, Dad's going to bath you now, instead of, could you bath them? It was, oh, Dad's going to put you in the bath now. And I'm thinking, oh, I see what that is, or my parents would be inviting us around for dinner and it wouldn't be, would you like to come? It would be, there's a barbecue on Friday. Like we're going to mum and dad's on Friday. I'm like, oh, okay. And this one moment, I was in bed in the morning, was having a bit of a sleep in, hadn't even, barely opened my eyes. And he was up with the kids and he pokes his head in the door and he goes, should I put a jumper on for my son? And I was like, kind of like the beach house, I was like, I don't know what the weather's doing, Why are you asking me this? I was like, ugh, like you can't even dress for your own son? Seriously. I don't know what the weather's doing. I don't know. And I was so disgusted and disappointed. And I was like, oh, look what I've created. Like he is so scared to even dress his own son that, God forbid he puts kindy clothes on to go out, or like going out clothes for kindy, or like he's so scared to even dress his own kid because he's gonna feel the wrath if he makes the wrong decision. So I remember this really quick flip, because I was in coach training, I was like looking for these things and thinking, oh, I have created this. I can undo this. Like I've created it and I need to change this. So it was really, my journey became all about awareness, and then, uh, awareness and changing some things and apologizing. I hated apologizing, but it was so hard. But I was a control freak. I really was a control freak. I identified as this relaxed, easygoing beach person, beach girl. But when I looked at it, I was so controlling. And in that moment, I realized what I'd created. And so I said, look, there's this way that I'm going to start apologizing. This is how I'm going to say it. I said, I know it's intense, but I'm going to start saying it because I need to lodge these in my brain because I want to do it differently. So I was like, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, I apologize for being disrespectful when I do this. And I started apologizing for even tiny things. And he would be like, you don't have to apologize for that. I'm like, no, I do, because I have to. But I had to set it up because it was so uncomfortable to say it. I needed to turn it into like a game. So I gamified my apologies and I got to work with them. And it was really all about just shining a light on my behavior and, taking ownership. And it was confronting. The other thing was hard was I realized that my blame, I have like what I call now, like I had a blame blanket on that was keeping me really warm. Like it was a protective mechanism to have blamed him for everything. And taking it off was very scary. So like believing that that it was going to work out, and that, believing, like getting in touch with the gratitude for him, I guess, was actually really vulnerable for me. It was really hard. Because that's what it was. Blaming him was kept me safe because it kept me out of responsibility. I didn't have to do anything different when it was his fault. And I was so lucky that my coach for coach training was Catherine, who's now your CEO. She was my coach for a year. And I went to her in the middle of coach training. So I'd had some wins, but I went to her and I said, I can't get this gratitude thing. Like he's still doing this, and this. I feel hopeful, but I can't, these are all the things. And she really pushed me on the gratitude. And I'm so grateful because that support gave me confidence to take off my blame blanket and stand there feeling very exposed and scared, and get onto the gratitude and to start believing in the things that I had instead of focusing on what I didn't. And I think when I could hit gratitude, everything accelerated. It was like putting icing sugar on all the other skills. Once I really understood gratitude, and I needed the safety of a coach, honestly, I couldn't have taken that blanket off without the support. And that was when I started to see like a lot of change, I suppose. Mm. Yeah.
Wow. I love this metaphor that you're wearing this blanket how terrifying it is to take off this warm
Right,
blanket that feels like it's been
right,
protecting you. This is the part of you that was so miserable in Ireland.
Mm.
It kept you miserable, but it also felt protective.
Yeah,
And
because it's his
so,
fault. Mm.
yeah, yeah. And having a coach, yeah, encourage you to or suggest or share her stories of taking off that blame blanket, I guess, possibly, um, gave you
right.
the courage. You became very courageous in taking it off
Yeah.
and being willing
Yeah.
to thank him. But what about the list of, I still have this, this, and this that he's doing, that's bothering me? I mean, so
Yeah.
yeah, what
Mm.
happened to that?
There was a few like big journeys. One was self-care. I mean, your book introduced the concept of a paper, and I was like, okay, so I have to get on off his paper. I can do that. So I started to think about getting off his paper, but I was like, now where do I go? Where do I go now? And it was like he was this I think about it now. He was this delicious buffet, and I've been standing at that buffet for a long time, watching everything, like surveillance mode on buffet, eating all the treats. And then Laura told me to go and stand at my own buffet. And when I looked over the table, it was empty. There was no treats. I didn't want to go and stand over there. I couldn't even find my table. Do you know? Like it wasn't set. There was nothing on it. And I thought this was where self-care was like, oh, and becoming a mom is a layer of losing yourself too. So I needed to rediscover. It wasn't even a rediscovery, honestly. It was a discovery. I'm an oldest child of four. I'd been on everybody's paper my whole life. And so like finding out that I had a paper and that I needed to make it somewhere I actually wanted to be. I need to put some nice treats over on it so that I could. When I saw I was on his paper, that was my stick. I needed a carrot. I needed some carrots on my buffet. I really needed to get over there. So self-care became a huge project. And the more I went into that, the easier the gratitude became. It was a stretch, but the happier I got, obviously, the easier that was. I realized that physical exercise was vital for me.
Mm.
I started playing netball again, which is a sport, like really popular sport in New Zealand. I got a cleaner once every 2 weeks to vacuum. I just did a few things. I used to travel an hour and a half to, like I got braces. When I did coach training, I thought, I want to be on stages talking about this work and I need to fix my teeth. I need nice teeth. So I went and got braces as an adult. I'd had them as a kid. I went and got them again. And I had to go an hour and a half from this small beach town and on the way back, well, there and back, I used to sing in the car because I was on my own, and I would put on all my old favorite like rock songs, and I would sing so hard. And one day I walked in the door and he was like, "Oh, how you feeling? You must be exhausted because an hour and a half orthodontist appointment, an hour and a half back." And I was like, exhausted. Like I am just lighting up the whole house. Like I am on fire. I've just been singing Pearl Jam for the last hour and a half. I am alive. Like don't worry about me. And the whole, this is when I remember this moment so clearly. Like I am the tone in the home. Like everyone's expecting me to walk in the door and be tired and grumpy. And I am so alive. So singing in the car is like on my self-care list. And so then obviously gratitude becomes, everything becomes easier. It was a big project to figure out what self-care was and to let go of the resentment and that blame blanket. That was probably what was keeping a hole in my self-care bucket. That was probably why it wasn't sticking, because I'd be thinking, well, when I get back from yoga, the house will be a mess. I was expecting him to fail basically. So all my self-care would be just not landing. But when I really let go of him and focused on making myself happy, a lot changed. Yeah. I became pleasable and nice to be around. Yeah. Mm.
How did he respond to that when you were like tired? No,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Well,
I'm
I just thought like, cause I'm just picturing this house. It's so clear to me, this house we lived in. And, it might not have been the same night, but this sums it up. I remember like lying on the couch and I was reading my book, and we'd had that big argument about foreplay, and I'm reading a book. I'm lying on my back reading a book, and suddenly there's someone down by my feet, and I'm like, I'm reading my book. Like I'm like trying to turn him away. He's like, so keep reading, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I'm magnetic. I'm reading my
Oh,
book and I'm pushing him away and he's saying, read it, read it at the same time. And I'm going, oh my gosh, the spark is back. Yeah.
you're back in your rom-com.
Yeah, I'm back in my
Your old life
mom.
came back.
My old life.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sounds so
And we
romantic.
were having we were having coffee with a friend, and I'd been telling her about the book and things, and she said to just right in front of me, she goes, "What do you think about all this Laura Doyle business?" That's how she put it. And he goes, "I don't know, ask Kayla." And I was thinking, well, she's asking you, like, what do you think about it? Because I hadn't got any acknowledgement to this point. I just had my things happening. I wasn't looking for that. And he said. He said two things. He said, I'm more, oh my God, I've told this so many times to people. I'm more willing to do the things that she's asked me to do now that I'm not being berated all the time. And I'm more confident in all areas of my life. He said that right in front of me. I'm more willing to do what she wants now that I'm not being berated, and I'm more confident in all areas of my life. And I went through a whirlwind of emotions in like 1 second. I was so offended, berated, like, how dare you? I couldn't, I don't berate, I didn't think I berated, but that was the energy I was giving off. So I was offended. And then I thought, like, I'm influential. I'm having a big influence on this man's life. And if I'm having this bigger influence, then when I turn this around, he, I have a big influence. Like it's going to make such a difference. I'm more confident in all areas. I was like, I felt so guilty. I was like offended, guilty, but then excited. I'm so influential. I can shift this. Yeah. So that was powerful. Yeah, it was a nice moment.
That is
The
great.
extent I would say about the direct acknowledgement. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd already done a lot by this time. For him to even say that it is a big acknowledgement of you making so
Mm,
many changes already. But for you, you're not at the mountaintop yet.
no.
You're feeling like there's so much more to go.
Well, it was such a dance. Like there was this really hilarious it was so funny. We had the car parked by our front deck, and I had just got both the kids in the back, wrestled the baby boys into their car seats, doing the belt up. I'm just about to get in the driver's seat to go wherever I'm going, and he pokes his head out the window, and he was writing a proposal for some work stuff, and he asked for my opinion. And I thought, great, here's an opportunity to relinquish control and to say, whatever you think. So I did. I was like, whatever you think. And I'm walking, like getting in the car, and I'm like, I really would like to add this little bit. So I leave the car, I go over and I go to the door, and I'm like, well, yeah, you could do this. In mid-sentence, I'm thinking, Kayla, you said you were going to relinquish control of this. And I said, you know what? Whatever you think. And I went back to the car, and then I did it again. I got in the car and I was like, oh, but I didn't say this. And I was like, I was in this tug of war in my head, and I went back to the window again. And I honestly think I did it 3 times, at least 2, if not 3, back and forth, because I wanted to lean into the skills. I wanted to create this new me, but that temptation to control and to have my finger in that pie was so delicious. I couldn't, and it was ping, 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 ping. And it was so funny. It really, relinquishing control was so hard for me. It was so hard. I had intimacy in the bank at that stage, so it wasn't like, there wasn't an argument, but the pattern was still, I'm asking for your opinion still. Like there was still, the dance was still like, I need to be involved in this. And that's not there anymore. But that's
Really?
what it was. It was in, out, in, out. It was not a linear journey, for sure. It was, yeah, I had to make some rules for myself. One time I decided I am not going to vacuum only once a week. Only once a week am I going to vacuum, because I have to start choosing my self-care. Because he'd say, I'll take the kids for an hour. And I'd be like, okay. And then I'd have this like freedom paralysis. I'd be like, here's all the things I could do. Oh my goodness, I've got 1 hour. And I would start panicking, and I'll just go to the supermarket. It was so confronting to actually do self-care. I had no idea what to do. So I'd go to the supermarket. But so I made a rule. Okay, I'm only going to vacuum once a week. I'm going to stop doing all the things that I think I have to do because those things are infinite. Really, I'll never get to the end. And I'm going to start choosing my kids. I'm going to start choosing my self-care. And one time I'd gone. I hadn't hit the week, so I wasn't allowed to vacuum, but the floor was so bad. Like the floor was embarrassingly disgusting, by my standards. And I left the house. I was taking the kids to kindy. And he was on crutches at the time. I came home. The man was vacuuming on crutches. He was like hobbling and pulling this vacuum cleaner along. And I realized, oh my gosh, he does take initiative. Oh my gosh, he does clean. He does know where the vacuum cleaner is. I've just been getting there before him. That's all it is. I've been so angry and so resentful for so many years. And all it was that his tolerance for the floor was different to mine. That was it. I made it mean so much more. And here he was. It was not unusual. It was just like, oh yeah, the floor was disgusting, wasn't it? And I was like, yeah, it was. Thank you. Like, it was such a simple thing, Laura, but I just thought I've been blocking the thing I want in so many areas. And what I needed to do, my favorite mantra is I have to let go to receive. I have to let go to receive. I had to let go of the floor to receive him vacuuming the floor. I had to let go of the old resentment in order to receive this man. I just had to let go of my grip on the story, on the history, on everything in order to create space for this newness to come in. And it poured in. And the more I could let go, the more I started to receive. And it was just so nice. I rang him once in the supermarket. I was in the supermarket and he rang me and he said, oh, can you add this to your list? And I said, yeah, no worries. And then he goes, thanks, my dear. And I hung up and I was in the supermarket and I was so chuffed. I was like, oh, my dear, that's cute. Like it was just these little things. I thought, it's coming back. It's all coming back. And there was one week where we both got nicknames. We hadn't had nicknames or pet names, for years. And he became Mr. Muscle, named after I think I said, can you pass me the Mr. Muscle? The cleaning. Do you have that cleaning product in the States, Mr. Muscle?
Yeah. Well,
something about, can you pass me the Mr. Muscle? And he thought I had called him Mr. Muscle. And so it was a misunderstanding. So he became Mr. Muscle. And then I had gone years without drinking and I had this glass of Chardonnay and I really liked it. And I was like, I've never drunk Chardonnay in my life. This is delicious. And it was called Bish. Tony Bish was the wine maker or whatever. And so I became Miss Bish. And it was in the same week. So suddenly he was Mr. Muscle. I was Miss Bish. And I realized we're going to be fine. We are going to be fine. It was so nice. Mm. Yeah.
It's so playful. It's so connected.
Yeah.
Enjoying each other.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. What a transformation. So and I just love that this is the guy that used to pick up his guitar while you were furiously vacuuming. And he was on crutches vacuuming. That story just killed me. I love it. It plays me. So, okay. So there's just this complete transformation. Yeah. So what else happened?
What else? Yeah. I'm trying to think. Our life has been a whirlwind because obviously we moved to Ireland, after that breakdown. We had moved back to New Zealand. And then things started to get, better. Like the relationship was solid, becoming solid, or at least where it wasn't solid, there was a knowing it would be solid. That was the biggest thing. We got our knowing back. We got our core connection back. And so all those other things felt like, well, that's just time. I know how to do that. Like that's going to come back. But so we got our, security back. And so off on more adventures we went. He said, I want to move back to Europe. And I said, whatever you think. And I had this new SFP, this spouse fulfilling prophecy, that he was the leader of the family. And I said, I'll go wherever you need to go for your career. And at one point, he was interviewing for a job in Poland. And I was like, oh, I hope you, hope you don't get that one. Anyway, he didn't get that one, but he did get one in Germany. And I was like, Germany, okay, there's no beach in Germany, but off we go. You're the leader of the family. I trust you. And we went to Germany with the two boys. And we were in Germany. Like, I can't even explain the culture shock. But we, planes and trains and food and language and new kindergartens. The kids went to kindergarten and had to speak German. They learned German and their whole life got turned upside down. And what I am so grateful for is that him and I were solid. And so they went through this enormous change, and they were amazing. And they were so grounded and they were so resilient. And we've since moved to Ireland. We're now in Ireland. So it was like Ireland, New Zealand, Germany, now Ireland, all in the last 5 years. And we have these two boys, Laura, who are best friends. They are so happy. We get complimented all the time. People say they're a credit to you. And I think, well, that wouldn't happen. That they would not be a credit. They would be scattered. Like, they've had a crazy life. And they're so grounded because the home has been this nourishing, safe, loving, and playful space for them. And I can't describe the benefit, how grateful, my gratitude for that. I just can't describe how happy it makes me when I see them learning languages and understanding what a continent is and talking to their German friends. I can't understand them, and they're fives and they're speaking German, and I just think these kids, we are a solid base for them. And rewind, I was going to leave. I was thinking about leaving and being a single mom, and now here I am on this adventure. And so it just, it's flirty, it's fun, it's playful, but it's also that knowing is back, and the kids feel it. The family unit is so strong, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me. Yeah,
What a
it's
gift.
special.
That's those boys. Daddy says goodbye when he's leaving for work now.
Yeah. Dad's taking them for bike rides before he goes. It's amazing. We had a new baby. We have 3 now. We had a skills baby. We had a third boy, and we had a home birth in this house, which is the house where we were living after that breakdown. So it's like this full circle. We're here in Ireland again, where I was so unhappy, both of us, and with one child struggling away. And now we just had a home birth downstairs, and now we have 3, and it's just a different family living in this country, in this house 6 years later. It's, yeah. And, I was thinking before I came on this podcast, like, do I have any kind of full circle moments? Like, what would be my full circle moments, and that would be one of them, like, that we're in the same house, but also we got married recently. We actually had to get married twice because we had to get married for my German visa. So we had a bit of a Vegas style elope in Copenhagen. And then we got married on the lawn of the beach house that we'd had that argument, on my grandpa's lawn. And so, and when we were standing there doing our vows, I think I mentioned that when we were flatmates, I used to notice that his towel was like folded up and it was too damp. So I would re-hang it out for him so it would air out. And one of his wedding vows was, I promise not to use your bath towel or to hang it up to dry if I do. And it was so funny to me to think back to those moments of the flatmate where I was all over his towels, and now here he is joking about it.
This is light. He's playing with you right in your vows. That's how safe it is. That's how much emotional safety there is. These things are that used to be dead serious are jokes that you laugh together about. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it.
Something else that I want to add on that beach house, like, I got ready in a different house, and I pulled up to my grandpa's just an old shack, but on the beachfront. It was so beautiful. And he had decided that he wanted to sing a song on this guitar to me coming down the aisle. So again, the guitar comes back into it. But I walked into that house, and the curtains were closed, and I'm spying through the curtain, and I'm looking at this again, this sexy Irishman sitting there playing the guitar as I'm about to walk towards him in my white dress, and he was singing a song um, with the lyrics. It's a Ben Howard song. Something about a bird. There's some lyrics in there about a bird with a weightless soul, and that was something that he called me or said to me when we were flatmates, like when we were just falling in love. So here I was, like literally in the same beach house, and there he is on the lawn playing guitar to me and singing lyrics that he remembered from 8 years, 9 years before. It was a full it was a full circle. I just couldn't. Yeah, it was just that would not have happened if I didn't discover your book, Laura. I wouldn't have this magic if I hadn't realized that I could change it. Mm.
Amazing. Magic. So romantic. And you did this, and you did this by being accountable and choosing your gratitude and relinquishing control and saying whatever you think. And you did it. And it's what an incredible accomplishment this is, right? Like, so you're having these
Mm.
delicious moments of being able to, appreciate how far you've come. And I mean, for me, like just admire your own work. I mean, or at least I'm admiring it from here.
Thank
This is
I'm
fucking
admiring
crazy.
yours. Yeah. But it's amazing to me that you know, you I spent so many years thinking he was the problem and that the relationship was, yeah, I just outsourced all my happiness to him and thought that the relationship couldn't possibly be better until he changed. But really, now I just think it's the relationship is a cake that we're both like pouring ingredients in, and somebody can turn the salt into sugar. Like somebody can do that, and it's just feeling excited about doing it and experimenting. I'm still experimenting. I'm still falling off the wagon hard. Like I am still sometimes so angry. I'm like, there's my toolkit of tools. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to throw that out the window today. I'm like, nah, I'm not. But I usually come back. It's like I go back, but then I come back even stronger, and so many things that let go to receive. I get layers and layers and layers of it. Yeah, it was only a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago. It was like back at the kitchen bench, and he'd said he would put the kids to bed, and it was chaos. And that feeling of like relinquish control, relinquish control, relinquish control. And I went, I'm going to get coaching tomorrow. There's got to be a way around this. I'm going to sort this out. And I stormed down the hallway and I sorted it out and I got the kids into bed. And then are you reading now? And back to the sink I went, feeling so angry and thinking, oh, well, I must miss something. Like, I'm a coach now, like I should know better, but I must have missed something. And back to the coaching I got coaching. And, and another layer of realizing, again, like nothing's more important. There's nothing I can control is more important than intimacy in my home. I got the kids to bed on time, but now what were their dreams like? What was their quality of sleep like? Like what did the last thing they saw was like mum losing it again. So it was like, okay, just another layer of just realizing the depth, I guess, realizing the depth of the work. Yeah, and when you mess up, you can kind of see every time I do mess up, which I do, I see new layers, I see new things, and that's the special part, is that it's like a project for life, I feel. And I get why you called your next book "Things Will Get as Good as You." Things will get as good as you can stand. Sorry, Laura. Things will get as good as you can stand, because I can see how the more you play, the more you experiment, the more depth you can create. And so I'm still in the work, but I am grateful and I am happy with where we are. Like I'm excited to keep going, but I'm so thrilled that I have something special, and it's little things like um we were having coffee last week, and we were talking about what we need to do this week, and he pulls out his pen and he goes, "What shall I take off your plate this week?"
Oh my gosh.
you know you could take this. That would be amazing. And I'll receive that. Like, thank you. And I just can't. It's like, are you a new man? Like, where did you come from? And I could just go on and on, Laura. Honestly, I just keep thinking of magic. Like, you know what? When my son was born downstairs, the midwife said to me, "You've got 10 days of newborn because this is number 3. Your life is going to be so busy, and your life is waiting there for you, ready to eat you up." Like, she said, "You've got 10 days. Take it. Don't worry about the house. Don't worry about the other kids. Let your husband do it." And that would have scared the life out of me back when. Do you know, that would have scared me, and I wouldn't have been able to
Sure.
do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to trust them.
No. I would have checked the lunch boxes. I would have made sure they had a jumper. Did he clean the drink bottles? Everything. I would have been down there. The temptation would have been like that moment on the deck where I was back and forth, back and forth. But I'm upstairs with my son, and I'm staying in bed with him, and I'm listening to laughter, and I'm listening to them getting ready for school, and off they go on their bikes, and he's biking them to school, and they are fed, they are dressed. Yeah, the kitchen's a mess. But like, I'm with my son, and I got my 10 days with my newborn baby, and I got, what else would be more important than that? But I can trust him now, and it's not done the way I want, but I don't care because I'm in touch with what I'm getting. I'm in touch with what I'm receiving. I'm receiving 10 days with a newborn. Like, I don't get that time back. And I don't intend to have another baby. Like, so it's just it's a different story altogether. The amount of trust and faith I have and being able to enjoy that. I mean, it was a gift. It was an absolute gift. And yeah, that wasn't easy, but like, yeah, when you're in touch with what you're receiving, it became easier to focus on what I'm getting. I'm getting this time. And there's nothing more special than that. Certainly not a dude. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got the gift. You got the 10 days with your newborn baby. Yeah, it makes me cry. It's very moving 'cause,
Oh,
a lot of 3rd babies, right? A lot of moms don't get that with their 3rd babies, and you did. And, it is so vulnerable to receive from him like that. And I hear, like, he sounds so wonderful, like, "What can I take off your plate this week?" And he was totally showing up as your hero to get those kids to school and make sure, they had lunches
yeah.
while you spent those 10 days with Rory. So,
Mm.
it just seems so meaningful and so rare and so precious. So and I give you
Oh,
all the credit for receiving it so beautifully.
thank you. If you told me that I had a rare and precious relationship, back then those times, I would have laughed at you, Laura. Like, I wouldn't have believed you. Um, but yeah, when I'm nervous going on this podcast. And what am I going to share? Like, what's special? I don't know. There's nothing major. But when you start to think about those tiny moments, they don't really seem so tiny anymore. When you think about what I didn't have, and then when I think about what I have, I'm very grateful. Yeah, I'm very grateful. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. It's so inspiring, so moving. It's like, and it really does sound like the family life that we all dream of. This is the family life everyone wants to have, what you're describing.
Oh,
That
well, everyone
sweetness.
can have it.
Everyone can get it. Everyone can get it. It's true.
It's
What
accessible. Yeah.
what is your tip for somebody who would maybe is where you were right after the C word conversation saying, "I've gotta get out." I mean, he said this
Mm,
horrible thing to me, "We can never recover. I have to leave." And she wants what you have now where he takes care of the kids in the house for 10 days so you can be with your newborn
mm.
and says, "What can I take off your plate?" And teases you about the towels in his wedding vows.
Oh.
And there's all this playfulness.
Mm.
She wants what you
Oh my
have.
gosh.
What's your
What is my tip? Ooh. Well, do you know, I'm looking at this behind my head, right? That's an octopus that I recently bought for myself because this is how I think of myself. I was an octopus and all of my energy was draining out of my tentacles and all of my tentacles were on it. Like, so if he moved, I moved. Like, I was just like, I was on there. And then with this, let go to receive, let go to receive. let's take that tentacle off. Let's take that tentacle off. The more I let go of like the rock that was, the more I'm floating around. I'm I'm floating around in the pool of change, like impossibility and magic and self-care. And now like I have this here to remind me and to help clients think about being the sexy, free-flowing octopus. Like the ocean is your oyster, like you can go wherever you want when you're not glued on. And if I could go back, that would be my thing. Like that's what I would tell myself. That's what I would tell another woman is like, just experiment with letting go and see what you can receive. Like let go to receive. Like it just keeps coming back to me. I can't think of a more profound way of describing what I have been through is than to let go to receive. I was so stuck on that rock and all of my energy was going into it and had nothing left for myself. And when I could let go, I started receiving and suddenly I became a very sexy octopus. I feel sexy, you know. And that's why that's there. And I wasn't expecting that question. And I'm just, all I can see is those tentacles above my head. And I'm thinking, that's what I would say. Be an octopus.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, be an octopus. Let go to
Yeah.
receive. Wise
Yeah.
words. And what about, what would you say to Kayla if you could go back in time and tell her what you know now?
God. I would say the same thing. Just let go. I just never, as I said, I just really thought I was this easygoing Kiwi beach chick. And I wasn't. I was all over everybody else's page. I'm doing the music for musical chairs at the birthday parties. I'm not playing, you know? I'm doing the, are you all right? Is everyone okay? What does everyone need? I couldn't possibly do that. Couldn't possibly go to yoga. However, will the kids get to school? Like I couldn't possibly. Oh no, I couldn't possibly. And so I would just say, let go again, Kayla. Let it go. See what's possible. Just stop having a grip on things. You're safe. You don't need clean floors to be happy. You don't need him to be happy. You don't need actually anything. You can be happy. Just let go. Bring some energy back to yourself. That's what I would say. Just let go. Oh, I had such a tight grip. I didn't know I did, but I did on everything. Yeah.
Amazing. I love this. And you've touched on it a little bit, but how do you think you doing all this, you going through an incredible process of becoming your best self and becoming accountable, really apologizing for things when you felt like you were wronged, but like just cleaning up your side of the street and becoming such a good receiver and letting go. How has this impacted your children?
Oh my God, Laura. We're like, they are so happy. That my kids are so happy. And I don't know if they would have been that happy. Look, I'm not saying you can't be happy if your parents are not together but the connection, whether you're together or not, whether you're co-parenting, but it's the connection. We could be in the same house and not be connected. We happen to be in the same house and connected, and they're safe to explore. This is where the bad behavior is because they're safe. They're so good out there. When your kids get their parents back, and that's when they're safe here. They're happy kids. They're happy kids. They're well-mannered kids. And, it was just on the green. There's a green, like a shared green, in the middle of all the houses. And I was just sitting there watching my kids play football 2 days ago. And one of the other parents just came over and he said, your kids are a credit to you. And I remember my dad telling me that's the biggest compliment you can receive as a parent. And I get it now. And I do not think they would be a credit to me and if me and were not the Miss Bish and Mr. Muscle. Like they wouldn't. I don't think I would have what I have if. I don't know how to describe it, Laura, but it makes my heart like sing. Like it just is. It's everything. It's everything to me. It really is. From that moment of going, why didn't Dad, to having, happy parents in love and watching him grab my bum in the kitchen, or he says, wrap your arms around me, jump up. And I jump up on him and he holds me for those like koala cuddles. And I'm heavy. Like I'm really tall and I'm postpartum, like I'm heavy. And he's like picking me up in the kitchen. And the kids get to see that. And you know what they get to see is me prioritizing my self-care. they get to see what a woman prioritizing herself looks like. And they get to see the difference when mum does her yoga and when mum doesn't. They don't get on my mat anymore. They know that's mum prioritizing herself. And they're fighting each other. Get off mum's mat. Like, she's got to do this. Like, it's important. Like, my wish is that they find women who respect themselves and care about themselves, and so that they respect my boys. And I think that, now I can be, hopefully, I mean, I'm up and down myself. Yeah, Jesus, my hardest skill for sure. But they are seeing what a happy couple. They're seeing what love looks like, and they're seeing what a woman in her desires and in her happiness looks like sometimes. I'm in
Yeah.
and out, but they're getting a taste, and that's important to me as they grow up and find their own women and wives. I want them to find happy women. Yeah. I want them to find happy women more than anything, because I know what it's like to not have. Yeah, that's what I want. And so I'm grateful that they have. I don't know how many times I've said that word in this podcast. I am lucky that I was recommended a wonderful book in New Zealand. Your book is in New Zealand, like it's pretty far away. It was magic. It is magic. Thank you, Laura, for writing it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I want to congratulate you, Kayla. This is incredible. And you don't see it very often. And what you've done is, I would just be so, I hope you're so proud. I admire you so much. Congratulations. Here's my Best Wife Award. You've
Thank you
earned
very
it.
much.
And you are just a beacon of hope of what's possible.
Oh,
And when you do the experiments, right? When you try a different way, even you take off that blanket of blame. And all these things require so much courage. You've made them sound pretty easy, but I know they're not. And like choosing your gratitude and also your humility and just saying, I was angry putting my kids to bed the other night, and I wonder how that affected their sleep or whatever. You're a mere mortal woman, like we
yeah.
all are,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yet you're doing an incredible job. As a
Thank you.
mom, as a wife, you've created a wonderful family, and I just can't think of anything I admire more.
It's special. Yeah, thank you. It's very important. It's so important. Yeah. You know what I realized from your work, Laura, like you just said, is a happy woman can change the world.
Change the
Like a
world.
happy woman can change the whole world. The ripple effect of this work is so powerful. Yeah, it's potent. Mhm.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, you're a walking, talking example of that, Kayla, and
Oh,
it just fills me with joy to hear
thank you,
your
Jo.
whole
Thank you,
story.
Laura.
Yeah, and I just couldn't be happier. So thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, here's your try it tonight takeaway. It's making space to receive from your husband. Remember how Kayla said the sound of her husband's guitar used to make her angry? The same guitar that she once found so sexy? Well, that guitar was a problem for one reason. While he was playing it, she was vacuuming, folding towels, tidying up, doing everything. So Kayla decided she was going to vacuum once a week. Not 3 times, not 5 times, not every day. Once. That's it. That's the whole experiment. And did you hear what happened? She came home one day and found her husband vacuuming the floor on crutches. He'd been willing to step in all along. She'd just been getting there first. So tonight, here's the question. Where in your home are you the one who always gets there first? The dishes, the lunches, the kids' shoes by the door, the text to your in-laws, the thing you grab from the floor without even noticing you grabbed it. Pick one, just one, and let go of it for a week. No explanation required. Just let something be. Let it speak for itself instead of you cleaning it up before anyone sees. And then watch what happens. Now, you're the expert on your own life, but you might be surprised, like Kayla was, at who steps in when you stop stepping in first. If you want to try this experiment alongside thousands of other women this week, including my certified relationship coaches, come join us in the Adored Wife community at adoredwife.com. It's free. Are you ready to try this experiment tonight? Who's with me? Who's in? Are you going to do this? Okay, then go, go, go.